it's like, from what I understand, we're like indigo star seeds, or you're a crystal star seed, and so forth. And there's different realms, different levels. So the pink starlights come along, and they're like this fourth piece to balance the three that we've had, the purposes of the indigos, the crystals, the rainbows.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the entire universe. Today on the show, we have Lynsi Eastburn, the author and creator of HypnoFertility and Pink StarLight Expert. Welcome to the show, Lynsi. How are you doing?
Hi, Karolina. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
I am so excited to talk to you because I've never heard of Pink StarLights before. And this is one of the themes that we're going to talk about today. And it's just so exciting for me. And because, I know about some like spirit base and just like, other things. Like I perceive myself to be an indigo child. I'm going into who that is as well. And so it's just so exciting for me to be here with you today and to talk about it. But I would love to start with a little bit of your story. How did you get to do what you're doing right now? And how did you, you're a Pink StarLight expert. So, and HypnoFertility is also very unique branch, let's say, that you are going for. So how did you start your journey in this direction?
Right. I started when I was a little kid. I always wanted people to be able to have babies. I was always concerned that women who really, really wanted a baby wouldn't be able to have one. And so that was always something that was really important to me, even as a little child. And I'm an intuitive empath, so that was, just kind of flowing through to me. I think I didn't realize what it was about at the time, but as my life unfolded, so did all of this come together. And I do have a background in the healing arts, in Reiki and energy work and color work and all that type of thing. And I did hypnotherapy training in the late 90s, like an official certification training. I thought it might be a nice complement to what I was doing. And within an hour, it pretty much swept me up, swept me away, and took me in this next direction. And so it needed to be, a big part of things. And so I am a hypnotherapist, but I also have all of this other energy that kind of flows into it with me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
So what happened, there's so many choices for me to go to talk about which direction, like what happened, the background. There's so many different choice points here. So I kind of let spirit and the Pink StarLights guide me as to what to talk about. I was not supposed to have a second child. So I had my first one in 1989. And in about 1993, a baby came to me and said, I'm coming. I'm your son. I'm coming into your family. And I was like, no, I'm not supposed to have another one. And right. And he's like, well, I'm coming. So you better deal, get ready. And he sent me his name and it was just so funny. So, he did end up showing up. And what happened was my life kind of got turned upside down. I'm from Toronto, Canada. And all of a sudden, right at that time when he showed up, a whole lot of things happened. And we ended up in the United States, long story short. And this is where I ended up in a meditation type group. This is where I connected with Reiki. And this is where I also connected with began to connect with the Pink StarLights in terms of where they would be today. And in meditation, I received basically a formula. I call it the 3 keys, or the 3 keys to conception, which are meditate, listen, and trust. Not quite as simple as that, but I can explain that for you in a little while if you like. And ended up in the Denver area. So I've been in 3 or 4 different places in the US and ended up in Denver in a private practice with my husband, actually, who I met at at a hypnosis convention at the National Guild of Hypnotists, and I was in Chicago. We ended up together. I ended up here. And the Denver area is kind of a hub for infertility, for medical treatment. And back then, a couple of the biggest clinics, in the US, probably in the world at that time, were here. And so it was like it was drawing those who were struggling with infertility to this area. And women started to come into my office to ask if I could help with this, with hypnosis. And even when given, a 0% chance of conceiving and being told that they couldn't have medical help, like they didn't qualify to do IVF, they were getting pregnant naturally working with me. And in some cases, they really just wanted to work with me to come to terms with, being told you need to go and adopt or you need to come to terms with being childless. And instead, we have these babies showing up. And early on, they would say to me, like, I feel like there's a baby there, and yet they're telling me I have a 0% chance. So I was always, okay, yes, of course, I believe you. I can sense this baby. Let's work from there. And so eventually HypnoFertility basically came out of that because no one was doing anything on a large scale with hypnosis to promote fertility. There was hypnobirth and, the typical things, weight loss and smoking and study habits and whatnot that hypnosis is known for, anxiety, that kind of thing. But no one was doing anything with fertility. And I researched it. I looked everywhere. And the results were so amazing. I decided, well, I really need to look into this. And this is where all of this from childhood kind of came into this awareness and having this concern for women who really wanted a baby to be able to have one. My son coming to me as a spirit baby and guiding me along, ending up in the Denver area, just all of these, it was like it was put in front of me and I had the opportunity that I could say yes or no. And I said yes because it mattered that much to me.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really touching my heart how you speak about it. It feels like the universe is just guiding you exactly where you need to be and exact right time to do what your mission here on earth is. And that's so exciting. That's so great. So because you mentioned a spirit baby, your son came to you as a spirit baby. So how do you, what is the definition of a spirit baby?
And there's lots of definitions, I think, of spirit babies, but basically it's the energetic baby. Your baby, I feel like our babies are our babies, whether they're here in physical form or not. And so the spirit baby is, the energetic energy or, energetic energy version of the baby. The baby's not here yet, but is present with us energetically. And I've always been tuned into them. I know mothers are, and people who feel like they need to be mothers are, and then there's other people that, are more on the intuitive or psychic or medium. They're into that type of work and they're connected with them. But our babies are our babies before they're in this physical form. And this is really important to know, that we can still be connected with them, communicate with them, and we're part of their purpose and they're part of ours.
That's beautifully said. Thank you. And you mentioned these 3 pillars of conception, and I would love if you could elaborate on that to explain a little more.
Yeah. The 3 keys to conception, and these came to me in meditation. I think it was 1993 or thereabouts. It was really interesting because I was doing this meditation group, and then we would go home and we would practice, and we had cassettes at that time, and I would do my meditation. We were using automatic writing to connect with spirit and with the subconscious mind, and people were getting all of this information. They were getting bookloads of information, kind of like Ramtha or Seth or some of those that we've heard of with these channeling type books. And I got one word. And over again, I got one word. And the word was meditate. And every day I was meditating, connecting in, doing my writing and getting the same word. And I'm like, okay, meditate. I got that, doing that. What now? What next? And eventually I got one more word, and that was listen. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So what are you telling me? You're not saying anything. Where's the words? And did that for a while. And then I got the third word, which was trust. And I realized that that was actually like a formula. And it's really the key, 3 keys to life. And the 3 keys to conception was how it was presented to me. And when I say meditate, it's not necessarily formal meditation. It's not necessarily seated on a cushion. It can be that. It can be hypnosis. It can be taking a walk in nature, going into the silence. Eckhart Tolle talks a little bit about that, and being in the now, being mindful. All of these things are part of being, of utilizing that meditate key. And then the next key, the listen key. So once we do that, as we're tuned in more, as we're shutting down the noise, once we do that, and that becomes, a regular thing for us. Now, we don't have to meditate for 30 minutes or an hour every day. What we do, if we just do it for a minute or 2 minutes, it will help us to connect in. And so that's what I mean when I say it doesn't have to be like formal meditation. It doesn't have to be, in a hard chair with the spine straight or any of that kind of thing. And it really is tuning in to the self, that quiet, shutting down the noise. And then we can listen. And listening is the sharpening of the intuition. It's tuning in. It's being more connected with spirit, connected with the spirit babies, connected with yourself, connected with your subconscious, connected with your purpose. And then we're able to trust that because we're able to hear it better. Mm-hmm. We're quiet, we're tuned in, we're balanced, and then we can trust. And a lot of times we know things, we just don't know that we know them, or we don't trust them. And we hear things, information comes to us, but we don't trust that information. So that ultimately is the 3 keys to conception. And that is the crux of the HypnoFertility work that I do. And it also is part of bringing the Pink StarLights into this world.
Thank you so much for sharing these keys. I feel like it's very important so that people have some kind of step-by-step process of what to do. And the steps might seem quite simple, but they are actually really profound. And I feel like actually you could use these steps also in other areas of your life, I feel, so many of them. And so thank you so much for sharing. And it's great that you came with this kind of like blueprint or like keys to do this so that it makes it simpler for people. And I would love to talk about these types of children, right? Because as I said, I perceive myself as an indigo child because I'm super rebellious and I just want to, screw all the systems and everything. But there are also crystal children, rainbow children, and of course, pink starlights. So I would love to touch, each of them, like talk about each of them. And then especially the pink starlights more in depth because they are the most exciting thing to talk about. And I'm just wearing pink today and wearing pink lipstick just randomly, or quote unquote randomly. Of course, the universe knew what is going on here. So I would love to talk about them because it's an exciting and new idea that is emerging, I guess, recently, right? It's not really known yet that much. So I would love you to talk about indigo, crystal, rainbow children, and then our pink starlights.
Yes, the Pink StarLights are very happy you're having them here today because, yes, my purpose is to help them become recognized and known. So I'm an indigo as well. And yes, we are kind of rebellious. The thing about the indigos are we came through to help break down the old model, to help get rid of the way things have been going, which haven't been going all that well. We have a patriarchy. I know we hear a lot about this crashing at this time. That's a good thing, and it's not a negative thing toward men, okay? We all have masculine, feminine energy with us, and we do need to have a balance, and we're very much off balance. The Indigo's job was to come in here and start cracking a lot of these models that we've had, organized religion, things like that we just kind of bought into, being told what to do, being directed, not being tuned into ourselves, and to crack that down. And this patriarchy, this oppression of people that has happened. Again, I'm not saying that this is men. I'm saying that this is the masculine energy way out of balance, which then ends up being aggression, can be, it's war, it's volatility, it's fighting, it is control, it is that kind of thing. So the Indigos usually had kind of a tough start to things because we had to be tough, right? We're intuitive, and different Indigos, have their different levels, but we had to break things down, and we had to kind of go against the grain, right? And that's where the rebellion comes in. And it's not that we don't have respect for authority, so to speak, but to not just blindly buy into things, and to be intelligent, and to be able to think. And thinking, there's a lot of that seems to be missing in action these days. We don't see a lot of thinking. We see people parroting. They see a meme on Facebook, and that's how they decide what they believe, and then they keep posting memes. And yet no one is not no one, but there's a lot of this non-thinking that's going on. I'm sure you've probably noticed. I had to mostly get off Facebook for that reason. Just seeing people proving things with something that is not proof. Like, you can't prove something with an opinion, right? And so we did start as Indigos crashing this down, and it is crashing. And this is to do with all the shifting that's going on with the planet right now, the transformation, the healing, the raising of the vibrations. But to get this, we're bringing in a new era, but we're really feeling it with the old one right now. So what the Indigos started, it's really coming to pass. And so these crystal babies came in, and they're a lighter energy. So the Indigos really paved the way for them so that they could come here and be more psychic and be more intuitive and be accepted this way. Because if we were talking Indigo children and Pink StarLights, 50, 60 years ago, people would think we were crazy, lock us up, or maybe even hang us, And so the world has changed. The earth has been changing. There's a healing going on, and these kiddos are part of it. These energies, they're not really kids. I mean, they come through as kids, but they're powerful energies, healing energies that are coming through, each with their own purpose. And then the rainbow children, the same type of thing. They named the Indigos for the color of their aura, the indigo aura, the crystals, the clear crystal that can reflect the colors, the rainbow, of course, having the colors of the rainbow. They're very, very soft and intuitive as well. And it's my understanding they're the children of the crystals. So when the crystals get together and have children, we have these rainbow children, which is actually quite fascinating. And so then,
makes sense.
Yeah, isn't it? You may have heard of star seeds. I hear that word a lot lately. It was kind of on the radar probably 20, 30 years ago for a while. I don't hear that much of it. A lot of people don't hear much of that word, but if you're in the psychic world, or you've been to like a spirit baby reader, they'll often talk about star seeds, which is really like an umbrella. Everyone kind of falls under that. And I don't know a lot about that. It's like, from what I understand, we're like indigo star seeds, or you're a crystal star seed, and so forth. And there's different realms, different levels. So the Pink StarLights come along, and they're like this fourth piece to balance the three that we've had, the purposes of the indigos, the crystals, the rainbows. And they're like this fourth piece to create this balance of elevating the planet. They call themselves Pink StarLights because pink is the color of unconditional love. And so this is not, again, about boy or girl energy or anything. People a lot of times like to still stick with the boy is blue and the girl pink thing. No, it's unconditional love. And the star is illumination and it's brilliance. And so Pink StarLights, they are bringing and they're illuminating unconditional love. They're bringing this through. As they come through, they are helping to elevate the energies on the planet. And they're coming through to be the people. So the new people, now all of us, of course, as we come in, we're the people. They are invested, you could say, in setting up the way society is going to be moving forward, where there's more compassion, where there's more balance, where there's not, I call it the god of greed. There's not this imbalance or this, yeah, it's greed, really, is what it is. And that's that negative patriarchy energy that we've had. So bringing in divine feminine energy and sacred masculine. So basically, to me, divine feminine can hold it all, but the balance of divine feminine, sacred masculine, rather than what we have become used to, just the way the world has been for the last couple thousand years.
Wow, that's so beautiful and so cool that they come with the love energy. Like I feel like this is what we need to heal the earth right now the most, because with all this separation and all these and COVID and wars and all these things, it's just got a little crazy recently. But I truly believe that it's there for a reason, right? All these crazy things are there to shake people, to actually show them, okay, maybe there is a different way of thinking available. Maybe there are different perspectives. Maybe some systems have to go. And I feel like if we have all these beautiful souls coming here to help elevate the consciousness, then we are on the right path. Although sometimes it might not seem like it, and it might seem crazy. I really truly believe that it's all happening for us, really. And so, yeah, that's really exciting. So, like, what are the biggest or the most important messages that Pink StarLights have for our world?
Well, one thing that's going on right now is resistance. So we are shifting and the energies are elevating, and there's this resistance. You can feel it's like these old energies are like clawing on. They're like holding on so tight. And that's why we have all of these other things happening. Mother Nature is not happy. Again, divine feminine, Earth Mother has just been, oh my gosh, she's just been abused. We've taken so much from her. Again, it's out of balance. So the Pink StarLights are bringing in a message of balance, of divine feminine and sacred masculine, of unconditional love, but not in a I guess people would kind of call it airy fairy. But basically what I mean is they're, they know what they're doing. They're not just coming in wearing flowing robes and sprinkling love on us. That's great. They are bringing those energies in, but they also are extremely intelligent, extremely intuitive, and they choose older mothers, which is really interesting. So all the time I've been working with HypnoFertility has been over 20 years, and I've worked with spirit babies and the various ones, and not even so much of an attachment to who or what they are, just, that they're spirit babies, that there are energetic babies. But around 2016, they decided that they had a name and they wanted that to be known. And so then they let me know that they were Pink StarLights. And then they basically said, it's your job to get us out there. And that's why I wrote the book, Waiting in the Wings, because they're waiting to come through, introducing the Pink StarLights. So, and these guys are bossy, I tell you. And other people who have interacted with them, they're bossy. They know what they want, what they need. They're to the point. Let's get it done. Their mothers tend to be type A personalities, very, very intelligent, very capable, achievers, doers. The issue with that, and this is what leads them to connect with the Pink StarLights, is that you can't do a baby. You can't force a baby to happen. And so when you're the personality type that can make things happen and get whatever it is that you want when you want it, it's really hard not to be able to just make a baby happen. So I always say can't left brain a baby, right? Mm-hmm. That's our thinking side of the brain, the thinking mind, the achieving, the hard working, get it done. but we're creating babies. There's a receptivity to babies. And so from the human side, or the world of solid, I sometimes call it, they're preparing. The moms have to prepare for the next level of what these babies are coming through. So indigos, we came in, we had a mess to deal with. We didn't have, for the most part, understanding families or parents. They just thought we were crazy if we needed to do something, right, that was against the so-called norm. And we got, there was that whole punishment type of thing that went on a lot, and you're going to conform. I never would conform. Makes life really difficult, but I wouldn't do it. And that's my indigo self. Well, now they have created that so that these babies can get in and get things done quickly. Now with parents, so this journey brings the moms, it's the parents, but particularly they anchor to the mothers. It brings the mothers to a point of pursuing things they may not have otherwise. So if you just had your kids and went around, went about your business, you wouldn't, even if you're spiritual, you wouldn't necessarily go deeper and take it to the next level. And that's what the Pink StarLights need is, if they talk hypnosis, you need to be open to hypnosis. If they talk, flying around in various, out in outer space or in the cosmos and all of that, absolutely. You need to be able to talk with them, not shut them down, whatever it is that they come through with, because they don't have time for that. That is not their purpose, to break down this stuff. Their purpose is, to get through and move from this point, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Absolutely. And it's so cool. Like I can feel their energy, and I actually really like it because it's kind of like straight to the point. It's like, okay, we got a job to do in here. We gotta lift the consciousness on the planet. So no bullshit here. We're just gonna straight, to the to the thing that we need to do. I love it. I love it.
Yes. And their moms tend to go through a long and difficult fertility struggle. And so a lot of my clients are in, their 40s, mid 40s, even into their early 50s. And that's part of that plan. They want their parents to be experienced. They want them to be open-minded, open and receptive. They love that their parents are researchers. I mean, you see a woman struggling with infertility, and she probably knows more about the entire process than the medical clinics do, because they're excellent researchers. And there's also, I say the babies they're strategically placing themselves. So they're choosing their parents because they need to have access to education, or they need to have access to spirituality, or they need to have access to a certain part of the world, even a certain part of the earth. And so the struggle that women are going through, or that couples are going through, is actually an initiation, is what I call it. And initiations are not fun. And it is moving us through, directing us, and then they can bring these babies through. Because, as I said, there's not time for these babies to get through and have to go through all this work. So I say clients, they have to do their work. The Pink StarLight mothers, you got to do your work. You got to get therapy, or you got to go to Reiki, or you got to do your yoga, or whatever. You got to open your mind, however that is. But that's what those babies are waiting for.
And that's beautiful, because every struggle that we have in our life opens up more and more expansion for us, right? Because if it wasn't for the struggle, we wouldn't look into all these things of how we can resolve the issues. So then we educate ourselves, then we expand, and we try new things, new healing modalities, and we talk to people and so on. So I truly believe it's actually a beautiful way to have it like this. But I know that it may be not the easiest. But I'm super curious to know also how you found it that right now, for example, because I'm assuming that a lot of these babies are actually now being born, and they are choosing specific people, and these people have, let's say, these mothers have fertility struggles. Did you find also that there might be other reasons behind why someone struggles with fertility, in terms of, for example, I'm doing one of the modalities that I'm using is parts work. So you are feeling into the part of you that wants to have a baby and a part of you that doesn't. And oftentimes what comes up is that there is a part of you that actually is so scared of having a kid that then, for example, because your mom wasn't fully a good mom, so then you don't want to repeat the same mistakes and you don't want to have kids, or this part doesn't want, and then consciously we do want, right? So there could be like different reasons for why people struggle with having kids. And so did you find that, let's say right now, as the Pink StarLights are coming, most of the cases that you work with are because of that, because the people need to awake and kind of expand the consciousness before they bring this baby into the world? Or is it like, let's say quote unquote 50-50, or has it shifted like recently? Or how did you find, like, what are the biggest, most common reasons for infertility in general?
Well, they're definitely not mutually exclusive. So certainly there's a part of a person maybe that doesn't want to have a baby or is afraid. There's so much fear right now, and then that the subconscious mind is protective, and so it's non-thinking, so it may set up a way to protect us that we don't necessarily want, but gets the job done. So if we're worried about bringing a child into the world, well, let's just not do that. Then we're unhappy because we don't have the child, but at the same time the subconscious is like, well, then you don't have to worry, right? So most certainly with the parts and this awakening, I mean, all of these things that we struggle with are part of our awakening. And mother, you hit on that, mother stuff, big time. And this is where divine feminine is coming through, okay? Women are not any particular picnic just because they're women, right? Women, out of balance feminine energy is awful. It can be really mean, it can be really nasty, it can be really petty, the gossip and all of that, the competition. And when mothers are like that, when you deal with that, that is something that can really, really crush your soul. Or it puts you into a position of being really strong to fight against it, but then you've got to go and align with this healthy feminine, this healthy divine feminine energy. So yes, definitely. And I had that, with my mother. I did not want to. In fact, I just asked myself, what would my mother do, and do the opposite.
Do the opposite. Just do not repeat the mistake of your parents.
Yeah, exactly. And so some of us, we do deal with that at a conscious level. And sometimes, the subconscious, it comes into play, and then we do parts therapy. But that's why I didn't actually want to have a second child. And I haven't actually said this. I don't think I mentioned this to anybody outside of anyone who just immediately knows me. But it was an interesting cycle. My mother was the youngest of 7 children, and she was an unwanted child, definitely, at that time. And they just, they were poor, they didn't need any more children, and so on and so forth. So she was, neglected. And actually, when we're neglected, it's worse than being physically abused. It actually does harm the psyche more. You wouldn't necessarily think so. So she had this idea that the youngest children somehow didn't get a good deal. That it was, if you were the oldest, you had it made, kind of thing, right? And my dad was the youngest. My sister obviously was the youngest. So I was the oldest. So I got all of the blame for that. And so I was the oldest child, and she just took out everything that never went her way or that she thought should have happened on me for being the oldest. Now, in Jungian psychology, they'll tell you if a woman hasn't done her work, she will project it all over that first child, especially if it's a girl. So that feeds into my indigo. So I had to deal with that as well. I was afraid to have a second child because I was afraid I would repeat the cycle and that I would have issues with my second child. I put that block in there, that I would not have another child, because I was afraid of that. I was consciously aware of it. But as it turned out, I did all this work and was connected spiritually, and I had to have this knowledge and this background so I could help others, because you hear this oh, she's your mother. And, oh, mothers, you think of the mother archetype and everyone thinks mother is beautiful and loving and wonderful. And no matter what goes wrong, mother's there for you. But that's not always true. It's very damaging when therapists especially tell people, oh, well, she's your mother. Oh, she's your mother. She loves you. There's definitely mothers that don't love their children. There's mothers who kill their children. I hate to get into that topic, but that's a reality as well. But we can harm people by just making assumptions, right? So I had to have that to pull through. And then I understand with my clients the things that have happened with their mothers that is not validated in a lot of cases for them because we just have this idea out there. So you really did hit that one when you said, about mothers. And it's like, okay, that's the way we're going because that's a really big piece. And I've seen women with, physical barriers to getting pregnant. I had a client with she'd had several surgeries, and they just said her uterus would not be able to carry a baby. She would never get pregnant, but we resolved the mother issues from the 18-year-old mother who, was too young and didn't want to have the child and then had more children and put all of that onto this child that was my client. Resolving that, she was able to have her children.
Yes, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing. I honestly believe that a lot of these issues that we have physically are stemming from an emotional cause, right? Because I also work with childhood traumas and guiding people to go back and see what's happening there. And so I'm not surprised that this is a very common theme because, like, why would we have a block in something that is so natural to us, like giving birth, for example? There has to be something, some belief, some emotion that is just taking us away from it. And so thank you so much for sharing your story as well, because I feel like it can be really inspiring for people to look at it. And I also really resonate with how you said that sometimes it's about neglect. Sometimes our biggest trauma is about what we didn't have versus what was done. It's like what wasn't done, right? What wasn't given, the warmth, the love that wasn't given, the physical touch that wasn't given, the emotional availability that wasn't given. So it's really important to talk about it. And I feel like, just this thing that you said about like people treating parents almost as saint, like, they're your parents, they love you. Yes, they do. And sometimes they can have some dysfunctional, damaging behaviors or actions or emotions that are now stored in your body and in your consciousness because you were just taking it as a sponge in your childhood. So it's just good to be aware of it. And we can, we don't have to look at anyone to blame anyone because obviously everyone did the best they could for the level of consciousness that they were at in the moment, right? But also, we need to take off the stigma of like defending parents and just seeing the reality because like, even someone in loving environment in childhood could have some childhood trauma affecting them, and even the trauma of birth or even the trauma of like first day at school, right, without the parents, or kindergarten or something. So I think it's just really important to talk about it. So thank you for mentioning that all, and it's just really a beautiful conversation that we're having here. But I would like to ask you one more little question, because if someone really resonates with your work and would really like to check you out and more of what you're doing, and just maybe check out the HypnoFertility, or maybe someone struggles with it, what is the best way to see your content, to connect with you, and to see what you have to offer?
My website's probably easiest, and it's hypnofertility.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, not my personal Facebook. That's the one I'm avoiding all the time. But there's the HypnoFertility Facebook, and Instagram is Lynsi Eastburn. And I do have some self-paced workshops available on there for people that do want to connect with their Pink StarLights or work through some of their issues. So they can check. There's lots of information on there. You guys can check that out.
Thank you so much. It's been really such a wonderful conversation, and it brought me even more curiosity now about the Pink StarLights. And is my baby gonna be a Pink StarLight when I have them in the future or whatever? And it just brings up so many questions in my mind, which is great because my curiosity is, skyrocketing now. So thank you so much. And I'm sure that our audience also got a lot out of this conversation. I'm sending you so much gratitude for this chat. It's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the Pink StarLights, thank you as well.
Outro, outro, do, 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 do. This is outro. Do-do-do-do-do-do. This is the little song I had in my mind just before I started recording this outro for you guys. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, I have so much energy after this conversation that I just wanted to share a little bit of funny vibes. And thank you so much for listening to us, being with us, tuning in. I hope that this really brought you a new perspective of Pink StarLights. It's a very interesting concept, and maybe it's expanded consciousness right now to know that they even exist. So it's really exciting, and I'm really grateful that you're listening, and stay tuned to the next episode.